Handling data. Examining bar charts. What is it? A way of sorting data according to different features. Why? Can help make informed decisions for your company to grow faster. Interesting fact. It is impossible to burp in space. So let's go over the steps in order to examine bar charts. Step 1, write down the key information. Step 2, use that information to answer the question. Here are the questions. Here's the bar chart. Let's get started. So write down the key information. The first thing you need to write down is the amount of each section. So let's take a look at the red. So we're going to draw a line from the top to the amount, and that is 4. We're going to keep going. Blue, which is 5. White, which is 3. Black, which is 7. And finally draw a line or use a ruler to figure out what the amount is. And the answer is 4. So now we've finished with that. Let's go ahead and start the questions. What type of graph is this? It's a bar graph or bar chart. Both mean the same. And so there's your answer. Which color of collar has the least? So we're looking for the smallest number. That is 3. So my answer is white cars. Which color has 4 more than white? So we have to write down the key information, which is white cars, which is 3. And we know that more than means addition or add. So now we need to add 3 cars plus 4 cars, which gives me 7 cars. And if you look back on the graph, there's only 1 7, which is black cars. And that's your answer. So now we need to do the next question. How many more chose to buy blue cars and white cars? There are 2 key information in that question, which is blue cars and white cars. So we write it down. And now we need to figure out, so we need to find the difference between those 2 numbers. So we subtract or minus, and you get 5 cars minus 3 cars, which is 2 cars. Finally, what is the sum of the colors? And now we just add them all together because that's what sum means. And we get 23 cars as your answer. And then finally, we have this next example. And let's go ahead and show the graph. It's a little bit different than the last one. It's rotated and the bars are a little bit smaller, but it's still a bar chart and you still solve it the same way. So let's go ahead and write down the value of each section. So let's go ahead and get started with year 7. Draw on a line down to the amount, or you can use a ruler or your hand or anything like that. It's close to 85, so let's write down 85. So we draw an arrow or down for year 8, close to 70, so let's write 70. Year 9 is close to about 38 or something. Year 10 is close to about 55. And then year 11 looks like 74 or 75, I don't know. Let's just go ahead and put 74. So let's take a look at the graph. What type of graph is this? It's a bar chart or a bar graph. So we've already answered it. Which year group has the most? So this time we're looking for the highest number, which is year 7. Now, there you go. Which group has the second least? Let's write down the least, which is year 9. Now we're looking for the number that is a little bit higher, or the next one higher, which is 55. So that means my answer is year 10. Next question, which year has 15 more than year 8? So the key information is year 8. So we write down 70. We know more than means add. So now we need to add 70 plus 15, which gives me 85, which is year 7. So then now we've answered that question. Now we need to answer what is the sum of the year groups. And when we do that, all we have to do is add them all together, and we get 322, which is the answer, 322 students in total. So now we have these questions and this graph. So each child said each one of those child said one statement. Now we have to work out which child said each statement. So once again, let's go ahead and write down the values of each section. So Joe said, let's draw the line. Joe has 10. Let's go with Cy. Cy has 11. Jack has 8. Michael has 7. And finally, Isabel has 4. So let's go ahead and get started with these questions. I collected more badges than Jack. So sometimes you may not be able to answer the question right away. So let's go ahead and write down what it could be. I collected more badges than Jack. So Jack has 8. So that means I could be Joe or Cy. So let's take a look at the next question. Jack and I earned 18 badges. So let's write down the key information. So Jack has 8 badges, and we know the total has to be 18 badges. So that means the missing value is 10 badges. And who has 10 badges? Joe. So Joe has 10 badges, so Joe is my final answer. And now we can go back to the previous question. We can cross off Joe, so that means the first one has to be Cy. Now let's go ahead and go to the next question. I collected 3 less than Michael. So let's write down the key information. Michael has 7 badges. Less than means minus. So 7 minus 3 gives me 4 badges. And who has 4 badges? Isabel. So Isabel is your answer. I did not earn the least amount of badges. So at this point, who has the least? Okay, Isabel. And we know it's not Isabel. Now we've already know it can't be Cy, Joe. So that means Jack and Michael are left. So now we don't know which one it is yet. So let's go ahead and answer the next question. I collected 1 fewer than Jack. So we need to write down the key information, which is Jack has 8 badges. Next thing, we know fewer is minus. We need to subtract 1. So we get 7 badges. Now who has 7 badges? It is Michael. So my final answer is Michael. So that means we can eliminate Michael from the previous question, and that has to be Jack for that question. So now it is your turn, part 1. So go ahead and pause the video so you can answer these questions at your own time. And then I'm going to show you the answers in 3, 2, and 1. If you got these answers, well done. If you didn't, that's okay. There's always tomorrow. Now let's take a look at part 2. Okay? So this time you have to use the statements to answer the question. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video because I will show you the answers in 3 seconds. And 2, and 1. So here are the answers. If you got them correct, well done. If you didn't, there is always tomorrow.